Israel.
Yeah, a couple from Israel. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jim. We will mute. Yeah. Beautiful shares, everybody. Beautiful shares. We'll just keep coming back to them and answering them throughout the weekend. And we'll just, we'll start in another couple of minutes. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to play music so you guys could hear it during the intermission and mute ourselves. So if I mute ourselves, then you guys can't hear music. So I think we'll just have to mute ourselves without the music going.
Possibly. Yeah, we thought we had this figured out a day or so ago. And as we said, this is not a place to be perfect. So
yeah, we're having discoveries all the time. It's like everything in life, right? Just new discoveries, just amazing. Yeah.
Great to see you, Jennifer. You're in Montreal now?
I'm in Val-David, actually 1 hour north of Montreal, closer to nature. So it's it's wonderful.
We see the nature in the background. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful day today. Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful.
Great. So I think we should get started.
We're recording.
Yeah. Excellent. So you're unable, hold on. Oh, now you could hear me. Excellent. Okay, good. Fantastic. So I'm Brandee Safran.
I'm Antonette.
And we're the hosts of Mastering Relationships Sacredness Summit. So welcome if this is your first class that you're hopping on. It's a webinar style, so it's a little different. So if you guys want to communicate, just talk in the chat and we're going to pick up your chat, or you could write in the question and answer, and that comes directly to us, especially if you have a question for Jennifer, specific for Jennifer, then that is privately messaged to just Jennifer and us, and then we could answer it that way. And so let me introduce beautiful Jennifer Ackad. So the title of her talk is The Authentic Sacred Self, and I love that this is how we are starting. As we just started about, sacred relationship is really about taking care of oneself, and what a relevant topic that you'll be leading us into. So I wanted to share your bio, Jennifer. Jennifer, embodiment and transformation coach. Jennifer Ackad left a successful mechanical engineering career in 2010 to follow her soul calling. For more than 9 years, she immersed herself thoroughly into yoga therapy and other self-healing schools, diving deep into her own body and self-awareness to discover that what she now calls the home within. Jennifer's commitment to authentic living and activating one unique potential is truly contagious. Creator of the Authentic Woman You Are transformation system, she accompanies women to create space in their body and in their lives in order to awaken the wisdom, truth, and answers they hold inside. Her mentoring programs are intimate containers where women reignite their innate sacred power, reconnect to their intrinsic gifts and true essence, and manifest a creative and fiercely aligned life. By honoring their deep desires and higher calling, women shift their lifestyle while empowering others. Her passion, her life energy, combined with her devotion to growth, make her a forever learner and dedicated teacher. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Brandee. Thank you, Eric.
A forever learner, that's apropos for today also. We talked a little bit about that in our talk, that we have to constantly, continuously grow and learn and evolve in ourselves and in our relationships. So thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about what is that in your bio, the home within?
What is home within for me? It's that sacred place inside myself where I find I can rest the most. So when life becomes chaotic, and that's our day-to-day, our relationships, we're in the theme of relationships, at work or whatever it is, it's that temple inside where I know that when I tap back inside, something just drops and it's in peace. And that's where I gain clarity. That's where I gain my answers. When I feel that it's not only chaotic, but when I feel that my life is not aligned, my body starts aching in a very specific way. Different parts of my body start being in pain somehow. So I pay attention to what is the message behind this pain. So every day it kind of became kind of a personal hygiene to wake up in the morning and align my intentions and rest inside this body that I call home. For me, home was, I was forever seeking home. I was a truth seeker. I traveled the whole world. And I was like, where is home? Where is home? And of course, I had a family and I had roots, but somehow I had chosen to take my backpack and go explore all tons of different stuff. But I was always seeking this home feeling. And at one point, I tapped inside my womb. I tapped inside this pelvic area, this breath of the pelvic floor, this primal energy. And this is where I actually found safety within. And when I tapped into this inside my own body, I'm going to say that I became less shakeable. I became more unshakable. And in relationships, this supports me tremendously to keep my center and not hook into the story that's happening, but rather come from that centered space of really listening. What is really happening? What's the mirror presented in front of me? What's happening inside that's actually manifesting this outside? So that's what home within allows me to do.
So beautiful. Wow.
Fascinating. Can I ask? Yeah.
For sure.
So you mentioned that when you feel like you're not in alignment, your body starts to ache. So is it always in the same place? Is it something different? Are the messages different? Like how do you communicate with your body to understand what your body is trying to tell you?
It's a very deep and large question also, because the body is such a land to explore, right? I particularly love tapping into the womb space. So when I feel disaligned, for example, if, for example, I make decisions in a day and my decisions are disaligned, what's going to happen in my body most of the time is my diaphragm is going to start really being squeezed up. It's going to congest my lungs and my breath is going to become shallow. And I'm going to become a bit more stressed. Let's put it like this. So what happens is at the level of my womb area, pelvis area, I'm going to feel some kind of disconnection. I'm going to feel I'm walking more on the tip of my toes, for example. Those are kind of symptoms that I'm naming for people to get a picture of what happens physically. But I feel unbalanced. Like I feel I have less clarity. I feel I don't make decisions as grounded as when I'm tapped into my womb. So that's one of the symptoms. And different symptoms. But this is one of my symptoms that I use of like, oh, you know what? Let me slow down just a little bit. Even if it's during the day, slow down, ground, ground the nervous system. And then right away, I feel this home within and I gain clarity and I can enter the relationship or whatever task I'm doing from a more centered space. There's more quality also in there.
So Jennifer, I was speaking to Eric, who doesn't have a womb. So
yes. I knew it, yes.
Yeah, like I guess for men too.
Yes, of course.
Same thing, I guess to me, it's like the belly area, right? It's that sense.
I was gonna say, I use womb because I mainly work with women, but I also work with men, and it's the pelvis. This is what we call the base, the root of the body, where the whole body stands, So if the pelvis is not stable and well grounded on Mother Earth, whether it's men or women, we're gonna feel more shaky because our structure is not grounded. It's not anchored on Mother Earth. Therefore, we cannot receive the jewels and the gifts coming from Mother Earth. And both men or women, we are designed to receive the nourishment from Mother Earth. So yes, thank you for naming this, because I use womb, and for me, it's an energetical center. And definitely men and women, it's the same principles.
Right, yeah.
Totally.
I do have a diaphragm though. And I can certainly feel like the stress when I am, as you say, when I'm not in balance or when something's going wrong, the tightness in the abdomen and the shallowness of the breath, and certainly I can connect with what you're saying as far as that's concerned. So yeah,
Yes.
it's a definite sign that something's off when diaphragm isn't working like it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what it allows us to do also? It really allows us to be truer and to be more authentic. So it's the sacred, authentic self that we're speaking into today, and it allows us to be more sacred, cultivate that sacredness inside, and also receive the authentic and true answers for us, for our life as we are designed. Not what the neighbor says, not whatever system says, but what is our intrinsic system is saying for us, and we are unique. Each individual has their own unique answers, and I insist on this.
So Jennifer, could you explain to us, like, how did you develop this relationship or this methodology of finding that home, finding that authenticity, that voice within?
Well, I definitely had teachers and mentors on my path. That's for sure. But it came from a deep calling and a sincerity of my heart that something needed to change. Like you named in the bio, I was a mechanical engineer for more than 10 years. And I was working in, I'm not going to say a tough environment, but something at one point, told a message from inside, told me you have to change. You need to go and follow your heart more. You need to work more with the human being. You cannot work from 8 to 5 in a corporate environment anymore. And that were the answers that I was getting, right? So I paid attention to that. And the sincere calling inside was like, I want to learn about how this body's speaking, because there was a clear answer. It's either I was continuing that path and getting sick, or I was choosing the calling, and it was a mystery. I just didn't know what was going to happen, but that's it. So when I jumped into that mystery, I found the right teachers. I entered a very deep yoga therapy school. I immersed in there for at least 9 years. We were a very small group where I was practicing. I mean, I've been practicing this practice about 2 hours per day for the last 11, 12 years. So it's kind of, it's something that I have integrated in my cells because it gave me gifts, So that's how it started. And the curiosity and being the scientist of my own body and exploring this land, backpacking in my own body. I love calling it like this. I used to backpack around the world, but then, yes, what is inside saying, Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you've talked about gifts a few times. Could you share with us some of the gifts that you've received from your practice? So you mentioned gifts from Earth, and you mentioned gifts from your yoga practice. Could you share what those gifts are? What do you receive?
Well, the gift is life energy. The gift is that, deep silence that we can cultivate within, and that temple, that sacredness that's found inside. And this allows us to peel off whatever is not true in our life. I'm not going to say it's an easy path, but the jewels coming out of it is more truth, more authenticity, and appearing in your own gifts. So we are all born with a certain design. So when we peel off what's not true, what's left is what's true. And what's true shines the light it's supposed to shine at whatever degree it is, every step of the way. There's no perfection, there's no goal to attain, but when we are in love with this path, we just start appearing more and more and more, and our vibration, the vibration that we cultivate within, this is what touches people after. And for me, that's worth the practice. This is the gift, because it allows me to offer myself better to whoever, whether it's my son or my ex-partner, with whom I have built an amazing harmonious relationship of co-parenting after 20 years of a deep relationship. Speaking about relationships, whether it's with clients or communities, it allows us to give from who we are rather than to give from a place of fear or trauma.
Very, very beautiful. I mean, just, being, and I'm sure you guys also listening to Jennifer, you could feel the resonance of her grounded centeredness. So I really feel the vibrational center of your alignment and how powerful that is. And, a lot of what Eric and I also really practice in our relationship. We meditate together, we do yoga together, but then also to really, both of us, to, you know, really allow the space within to be clean and clear and not toxic, and not throw into this place toxicity. And it is, like you said, it's not easy work. It's not easy work. It's much easier to fall back and like not want to do the work and not want to clean up and not want to go deep and to stay very surface. But for some of us, that's not an option. You know, I think that people that are attracted to this summit, mastering relationship sacredness, sacred work is sacred work, right? Yeah. It's requires digging in and removing things that are false, not serving, toxic, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Could you perhaps share, because it isn't easy work, could you perhaps share what you found most challenging about doing the work?
The first thing that comes, Eric, is the challenge of being seen as who I am really. The depth that's inside of me, the codes that are encrypted in my body, the fear of losing family, the fear of being banned from tribes. The second this body gets filled by life force, the life force pushes us with purpose. And it's either we follow through and serve with our gifts, or we start paying with our own energy and life force. But when we are about to take that step, that leap into our life force and start being more visible and sharing our gifts, our whole nervous system starts shaking with fear, because we are so conditioned to not be who we are. We are conditioned to follow systems, right? And all of this to say that for me, it was the fear of just being rejected and not being understood. And yes, especially by people I love, right? And this happened, but what happened is some people I lost. Some people I regained in transformation. So it transformed the relationship and it became a lot more aligned and a lot more true. But yes, this was challenging for sure.
Challenging, but necessary.
But totally necessary. And again, jewels come out of this. So behind the fear, there's the love. It's pouring love after. So the fear, when we start looking at the fear just as a step, and we welcome it and we pay attention to what it's actually saying, behind the fear, there's tremendous love. We can just transform the speech of the fear into, I love this. What is the love behind the fear? And then the love is going to start driving your life rather than the fear.
So it just, what's coming up for me, Jennifer, and also, you know, guys in the chat, feel free to also jump in on this, but what's coming up, you know, in relationship is that there's fear to speak your truth, right? That it's easier to mute yourself, to not be authentic in your voice, and to think that not speaking your truth can maybe be love. I think that this happens for a lot of women, and if women out there could identify, like, well, I'm not going to speak my truth because it might hurt Eric, but instead I'll just hurt myself by being quiet, right? I think
yeah, I have shivers as you say this, Brandee, because this is so classic. This is so classic. Right? Go ahead.
But it's I think it happens for a lot of us that we just shut down and we want to please, exactly like you were saying. And how important, so what I'm hearing from you is that, yes, it is scary and shaky even saying my truth, that Eric, I need you to do, you know, I need this from you. And then knowing that it's from love, and also to tell him, maybe this is from love. This is what I need, you know, this is, you know, so yeah. If you want to speak a little into that situation, that might be a popular one.
Sure. For me, what comes is really a giving space, totally giving space. And the more we have space inside our bodies, the more we give ourselves space in relationship, whether it's in sharing something vulnerable or receiving and listening to something vulnerable. And it's that beautiful, intimate contract that we create with another person, the same way we are creating this intimate and true contract with ourselves. It's it's really all based on love. And no, it's not easy. For sure, it's not easy, because this fear and this wound of rejection or abandonment is so encrypted at the root of our body, because we had to be somebody else with our own parents, most of us, right? And we couldn't appear and name our needs for all the reasons that we're not going to get into right now, but we project this in our relationships. But definitely we all go through this, and it's very vulnerable to share what we need, and to name that. Yes.
There's a question coming in. How do you manage when you speak your truth and the other cannot meet the truth or need? When you speak your truth and the other cannot meet that truth or need?
Yes. So how to ask without expectation. That's what coming to me, and it's not easy also. But so I promote a lot the neutral space. So the neutral space will ask my body to be true, right? Asking for what I need. But the neutral space will also keep me grounded enough to not react if I'm not receiving what I need. Therefore, I'm going to create a relationship that's more in harmony, right? And from a neutral space, more spiritual and sacred, rather than expecting. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong to expect or right to expect. I'm just saying that in neutral space, this is where we cultivate our energy the most. We're mostly energy efficient. And without reacting, we don't lose energy. Therefore, when the other person does not fulfill our need, we don't lose energy, and we don't perpetuate some kind of action-reaction thing. So we start seeing clear. And the need, most of the time, we will see that the need, not that we can fulfill our need, but the need will be disinflamed. It will not be as roaring as the wounded, from the wounded place. So that's why the sacredness is super important. That's what comes to me right now. But we can weave on this for sure, because relationships, it can trigger us so much, right? In our softest spots.
100%.
And also to be in the mystery of really honoring our needs, being true, and maybe the relationship is not meant to be happening for your whole life, you know? Maybe it was a meeting for you to learn to express those needs. And maybe the relationship that's coming after, or the transformation of the relationship, is going to bring you to a next plateau where the evolution of the relationship, then there's going to be a mutual fulfillment of needs. You know, it's the curiosity of growth. When our attention is on the love of the journey, it's the beauty is every moment, you know.
So beautiful.
It's easier said than done, but that's the purest intention of it, right?
So they wrote it's very helpful. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm happy about this. Welcome, Pamela.
Great
Thanks
question.
for the question, guys.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about this creation? I know that you have a program that's called the Authentic Women That You Are, and what the steps in the transformational process are. Yeah, I mean, and then my curiosity too, I know there's men on the call too. I mean, you know, we're opening this up for everybody to hear and to awaken to. Yeah.
It could be called the authentic human you are. Totally. And so the steps is, I'm going to put this in 4 steps. The first step is embodiment. So owning up your body, creating space in your body, paying attention to the sensations, being intimate, learning to stay with yourself and create that sacred space. Then what this creates is gaining clarity, which I would say is the second step. Gaining clarity on your needs, gaining clarity on your boundaries, gaining clarity on your desires, gaining clarity on the calling of your heart, or is spirit calling you to go, gaining clarity on what is a yes, what is a no, the choices that you're making, gaining clarity on the habits and activities, the relationships that you're into, what is energy efficient, what is not, where am I actually putting attention on, and what is not required anymore, because your body's going to tell you, this does not feel in alignment. You're going to feel it, because once you're starting to be clear, you know how to be efficient with your energy, and you just don't want to waste it. You know, it works a bit like money. You know, you don't want to just waste it when you know you want to invest into a vision, right? So that's the second step, gaining clarity. The third step is, what do you do with all those answers now? You got to take action. That's when a lot of people are challenged. The first two steps, you know, we can create the sacredness, we can gain the clarity, but it can stay a bit in dreamland. When we get into the third step, we get into action, we start creating our authentic playground, our new playground. This is how I love calling it. The playground that is going to support the next version of our authentic self, because it's always about peeling off those layers, right? Then we get and we take those actions. So all the clarity that we gain, then we go to the boss and we're like, I want part-time. I don't want to work full-time anymore. We go to the relationship and you're like, hey, you know what? This does not work anymore for me. How can we manage to make it work for both of us right now? And so on and so on. Okay, I'm gonna drop out coffee from my life. This is just a silly example, but it's just to say, whatever is your body gonna show you in terms of true answers, then it's our kind of duty to act on it, to be more efficient. That's the third step. And then once this new ground, tangible playground is kind of set, then we start flourishing in this new layer, because our needs are met. We have received answers, our needs are met. Then our next layer of energy, of potential is active, and we can start being more visible in our gifts. This is what I call the reset. I call it feminine reset because the feminine is both in masculine and feminine, and it's about receiving. So we are appearing, we are ignited, activated, let's call it whatever we want. Therefore, we can start giving back. And that can take any shape or form. Some people jump into that process because they want to serve the world and create projects. They want to give birth to projects and start appearing in their gifts in that structure. Some, it's to offer themselves better to their families or to their communities or to their relationships, right? Their partnerships. So that's the fourth step. And it goes on, but let's say that the main steps are those ones. And when we work with visibility for people who want to take it further, it's all about learning to appear visible in, let's say, our light and our gifts, because the nervous system shakes a lot when we are about to appear in our truth, whether it's in a relationship or on camera like this, you know?
Yeah.
So I have a question about the first step, and you named the first step as embodiment.
Yes.
And I know, and maybe this is quite different from a man's perspective to a woman's perspective, but I think for probably the first 40 years of my life, I was in my mind and really not connected to my body at all before I started the practice of yoga. And even, you know, after a few years of practicing yoga, still didn't feel like I was deeply connected to my body. So like I said, I don't know if that's the same for men and women, because I have the sense that women are much more connected to their bodies compared to a man. So that's kind of one question. And then the second question is, how long is that process of embodiment, like in your step? How long does it take to feel like you are really connected to your body?
Well, this is so personal to each individual now. That's the honest truth. Yeah. You know, I could tell you come for a program of 6 months and it's going to be done. I wouldn't be in integrity saying this, you know. But
maybe from a practical examples from the people that you've worked with, what would be typical?
A year. A good year to go through the 4 steps and to integrate them and to start really, really seeing good shifts in your body, in your life and in your body. Yes, definitely. And having a discipline, and discipline not being something stiff, you know, but the love of it, you know, because it brings so much intimacy and quality and taste in our life that we want to wake up and practice and be connected to ourselves before jumping into our day. So I would say, for example, like a year of practicing maybe 5 times per week, something like this, on a basis of 1 hour per day, something like this. And yeah, loving it. I would say that it's, yes, definitely. It creates major shifts. And what you said about being in our head, this is not only men, many women also. And really, really the cause of this is a primary disconnection from our pelvis, because we have been so conditioned to be disconnected from our power, from our primal power. We can call it sexual power too, but it's the primal, right? The life force coming from roots up, right? And we have all been conditioned like this by society and different family structures or whatever that is, right? So the mind kicks in to protect us. It's a protection. But when we tell the body, hey, it's safe. You can drop down and bring your attention down in your pelvis. Nothing's gonna happen. You can be in your power. Then the mind opens in a different way. You can rest in your sacred power. And yes, a lot of symptoms stem from this disconnection that we all have and had.
Yeah, I mean, it resonates with me too. I'm also a pelvic floor yoga teacher and have a very sacred relationship with womb wisdom. And then just in my experience also, it was just like, I think I started the journey because there was so much shame. Like I was so disconnected from everything down there, just really disconnected and really not having a good relationship with that. And the amazing powers when we tune in and we really, really listen. And then also for men, just being in a relationship with Eric, I do work sometimes on his pelvis and not in a sexual way. And in the sexual, but also not in the sexual way, in the way of healing and holding space there. And the same energetics is in a man and in a woman to really wake up this, like you're saying, this center. And it's like the furthest distance, from, like you said, from our head down into our pelvis. And how important it is to know that the life force energy is held in this center, as you were saying.
Yeah, the ground. And yes, surrendering on Mother Earth. Yes, totally.
There's one word that I keep hearing you say that I just want to also just like reflect, because sometimes when we speak, we don't hear, is the love of it, the love of the discipline, the love of the practice, the love of the intimacy, the love of the disease, even when it gets uncomfortable. And I want, if you could, to speak into your relationship with that love, because there has to be something, maybe, I don't know if you're aware of it, but like there is this something, just something
the
like
relationship with the love of it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. First time I'm asked this question, but let me see what comes out here. Yes. It's really, I just like, because you named the love of the dis-ease and the love of all of this. For me, it's all opportunity. Whether it's pain or pleasure, it's all in the same category of feeling, of feeling what's happening. And for me, it's like knocking at a door. It's like, like kids and the honest and the mystery of like, what am I gonna find behind this door? And the more you're in that process, the more you have got to learn that behind the door, jewels are there, your gifts are there, energy is there, more truth is there. And the more I open the doors, the more the love builds inside, because it's energy, right? And the more I see my life shift and my relationships becoming more harmonious, the more I love it. So it's kind of a give and take kind of relationship, you know what I mean? And and sometimes the body I have gone through hard moments with my body, because at the beginning when I started this, I had, big symptoms of my body that needed to kind of decrystallize, I had to dismantle deep beliefs inside my body and decongest my liver, for example. And so much to say around this. This is a whole hour of conversation, but yes, the embodiment part is it's the love of this. And it's also the love of not only the body, but reclaiming our voice. And what is it that we really want to share, not to please somebody, but what is the truth? And how can we allow our voice to speak up that truth? That's also love in action.
Could you talk a little bit about also the obstacles to loving that embodiment practice, because I could again speak from a man's perspective, and I started yoga at a very older age, so it's been since 2006, I believe. And when I first practiced, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Like, I was so uncomfortable in my body, and just trying to sit down on the floor was like, it was painful and really difficult to connect with the love of the practice. It wasn't there to begin with. So how do you go about, and again, it could be different for women. And it took me a while. Like, I took a break from it, and I said, you know what, this isn't for me. I hate it. And so I had to come back. I came back to it after a while, because just physical issues in my body were just so bad, and nothing else was helping me.
Yeah.
And I decided to try it again, and tried it with a much softer approach. For me, softer worked much better, and connected me more with loving the practice. So maybe you could speak to that question.
Totally. You know, it's a very intuitive practice. It's I call it also earth yoga practice or embodiment practice, because it's about surrendering the weight of the body. It's not hatha yoga. It's not like any yoga we do in a gym, for example. It's a deep surrendering yoga, where we use the force of gravity to just, we drop the weight, and then our bone structure starts anchoring on Mother Earth, and then we start receiving. But to speak into the discomfort of the body, a lot of people are uncomfortable at the beginning. I was also very uncomfortable. Sometimes I always remember that moment when I had to actually leave the classroom and go scream outside. I had to go scream because it was unlocking so much rage from inside my body, deep ingrained rage that I was like, I have to scream this out. So it's a very therapeutic type of practice. And there's dynamic postures, there's static postures, and there's also palpation postures, because it comes from osteopathy. I'm not an osteopath, but it comes from osteopathy, and it's really the same principles of how can we use the ground as a fulcrum, as an anchor point, and all the rest can release, because we are safe on Earth. So it's not always comfortable, and you know, we have so much accumulated in the body that sometimes the body's going to tell us we need more static or we need more dynamic. And sometimes we have a posture called chopping wood. So chopping wood is literally, you're in squat pose and you have an axe in your hands and you're like, ho, and you just chop that wood because there's a lot of tensions. So, you know, tapping into the depth and the sacredness and like the subtlety of life force, it takes a certain time. So sometimes we have to like just break free from this box in which we live. And that's perfectly fine. Now you're tapping more into the rawness of the practice. You probably feel the energy that's coming out now. It's not the same as the other one. There's like the water energy and there's the fire energy too. And we work with those energies. So we end up loving it. And if we don't love the postures, then we can apply the same principles in our day-to-day. We can go biking. We apply the same principles of surrendering our weights body. We go walking. This is what I do. I cook. I'm standing up. I drop my weight. I connect to my hips. I relax my pelvic floor. And I practice just as it's a way of being, rather than, you know, boxing it just to the practice itself. If it can support to say this, those are principles to apply in our lives.
Yeah, it took me a while after practicing to actually enjoy being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that there's a point in some postures where there's a kind of a fine line between it being painful and uncomfortable, and then just kind of playing in the discomfort of the body.
Yes, and when we also understand that discomfort and pain is a door, then we become curious. The pain appears and we're like, yeah, here's a pain. And we stay neutral and curious about it. Therefore, the pain doesn't amplify. You know, we don't go so much in our mind like saying, I want to get out, I want to get out, I want to get out. It's more like, okay. You know, and then it unlocks. And it's the same thing when we're speaking in a relationship. It's the same dynamic. So whatever relationship we cultivate inside, and I do this because it's the feminine and the masculine inside and how they communicate inside, this is how we are going to show up with a person in front of us. So if we're having a conflict outside, then let's check inside. Where is the conflict? Where is the conflict? Where am I resisting? Yeah, all of this, it's all mirrors.
Beautiful. So helpful.
Yeah. Staying comfortable in the discomfort, or trying to find your comfort in the discomfort.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you, Eric, for bringing that up. Yeah.
Pleasure. So maybe we could just check in with the audience to see if they have any other questions, and before we ask you our final question.
And also we want to put up your link, so I'm going to try
Right.
to financially.
Yeah. So I don't think we have any other questions from the audience at this point. So our final question for you is, what does it mean to you to be in a sacred relationship?
Yes, it's for me, it's about honoring the person in front of me in their gifts. Really hold space for the light and the gifts that they have inside, and respond to that. And the same thing with myself, and walking with vision and building together in harmony, and really showing up in commitment to do the work together. So not only in the ideal of it, but really like showing up. How are we showing up every day? What's the intention of us behind us showing up? Are we seeing life in the same direction? Are we walking together? Are we building in the same direction? Being humble in the experience, being honest. For me, this is what sacred relationship means.
So beautiful.
And whatever shape or form it needs to take, sometimes a form needs to shift. And it's to humble ourselves enough to realize that for the freedom and for the beauty of the gifts of each individual, it's better to change the format of the relationship rather than to stick to a format.
Beautifully said.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I know that you're offering also a free gift, Jennifer, to our audience. We're going to put the link in our assistant. Yeah, in the chat.
Yeah.
So it's going to be dropped in the chat.
The
So Ashley's going to put it in the chat right now.
the free gift is 14 days of.
Is that what it is? Yeah, tell us.
No, it's discovering home within, and it's an embodiment practice. It's an hour and a half embodiment practice, and it's really, really amazing. So if you want to taste what the embodiment practice feels like, it's a complete session, and dive into it. Many postures, dynamic, static postures. And then, yeah, you will start tasting what it does to your body, and feel free to connect if you want to know more about the transformation system.
I love that. I'm very excited. Yeah. So we're going to drop it in. It's going to take us a minute. I don't know if you have the link on. Oh, there it is. It's right there now, guys. So
no, that's not the link.
Pardon?
That's not it.
That's not it?
No.
Did you have the other one? So I can remove that one. So
I sent, yeah, it's.
Yeah, she did.
Eric.
No, we're gonna find it and put it in. Sorry about that.
I can put it in the chat box.
Put it in for everyone. That would be appreciated.
Yeah, let me just go and get it here. I'm just looking for it. Yeah, I put this in the chat, right?
Just put it in the chat for everyone, and then everybody's going to get it. So that'll be amazing.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah. So maybe we can take the one that's there. That's actually our free gift.
Yeah. Hold on. What?
The one up top is our video.
Yeah. Okay. So we only got it. Don't worry about it. Does everyone have it now, though?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
just put your name and email, and then you're gonna receive an automatic email.
I'm excited. We're definitely gonna do that.
So generous of you, Jennifer, and thank you so much for being with us and sharing your wisdom and your authentic self with us.
Thank you so much, Brandee and Eric. It was such a pleasure.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye
Bye for now.
for now.